Hey lads, how you guys doing here today? So today is Friday, December the 2nd. Oh boy. But you know what the thing here, my friends? We're gonna go on here and talk about the same thing. Like still about the Public Order Emergency Commission. Alright, tonight, well, obviously we're gonna still and talk about some other things that happened at the Public Order Emergency Commission. But of course, aside from that, also basically, I'm gonna be trying to go on and show you videos. And aside from that, also here, my friends, is that yes, I'm also gonna be trying my best to also talk about some of the things that happened this week, Public Order Emergency Commission. And of course, this is a Salem Justin Villamor show. You're currently watching it as of now. Alrighty here. Alrighty here, my friends. Welcome to Asseylum Justin Villamor show. Of course, we're gonna go straight ahead and talk. We're gonna go straight ahead to opening monologue. Alrighty. So, of course, here is that yes, basically, after the merit finished his testimony, I asked him hard hitting questions, same thing for Anita and Nan, and of course, Omar Ajabra. But well, basically here, my friends, is that yes, the primal part here is yes, you can just already kind of go on and like see here that these people once away from me. I bet they got instruction from their boss, Sergeant Bruno, not to like, not to answer any questions from the members of the media. Because obviously that I bet they're scared and they don't wanna go on and go for the hard hitting question. But well, basically here, my friends, is that yes. Aside from that, you could just also go on and like see the picture right here that these people are a bunch of cowards. It is simple as that. So, of course, let me just also like go on here and like well, basically at the last day of the witness or like last week, what about last Friday when Prime Minister Blackface McGruber testified, I also got the chance to have an interview with two protesters. But of course, the other part this week, the, there's a there was a round table discussion that occurred at the Public Order Emergency Commission where they talk about different topics here. And of course, I'm about to show you after the opening monologue But in any events here, so basically, Trudeau is a very sneaky guy, to be honest, because that guy, instead of like again coming to the front gate, he sneakily went in so that he won't be scrutinized. So now you can just see the typical why on earth. Yes, these people just like these people like Trudeau doesn't want to answer any hard hitting questions because obviously that yes he doesn't want to be scrutinized, simple as that. They don't want any scrutiny at all. Simple as that here. But you of course expect nothing less from Justin Trudeau because obviously that he did bother to answer any hard-hitting questions from Rebel News during the leaders' debate. So, what you can expect from the guy who blackfaced multiple times more than he can remember. And of course, we also learned of why Trudeau decided to invoke the Emergency Act. Like, went for the smash because sleepy, quippy Joe Biden pressured Justin Trudeau to invoke the Emergency Act. Unbelievable. But of course, I'm gonna go straight ahead with the final conclusion. Final conclusion, Trudeau must go. And of course, it is time for accountability. Meaning of it, it is time to hold these people accountable. Simple as that. And of course, I'm not playing around here or fooling around because it is a plain, simple message. Time for accountability. That is what I am just asking here. That's the solely things, like one of the solid things that I wanna see happening. Like, I want to happen. So, of course, that was up my opening monologue here. Alrighty, so of course, let me just go on here and show you what the topics for roundtable discussion for this week that occurred this week. For the very final week of the Public Order Emergency Commission. Commission shall attack the urgency. Pardon me if, yeah, just like pardon me for terrible French accent, like for not pronouncing it properly. I'm not really good at French, to be honest. But in any event, let's just go on and strike that off. So, the topic, one topic, the first topic that been discussed on Monday, November the 20th, fundamental rights and freedoms at stake in public protests and their limits. So, of course, basically, you don't have any right to violence. Like, um, if it turns to violence, then it's not a peaceful protest anymore. Simple as that. But of course, noise and stuff, it will be inconvenient. It can cause inconvenience, but still it is still part of peaceful protest. And then the second part, financial governance, policing, and intelligence. So of course, financial governance. Here's the very important thing here because like, basically you can just see how the federal government forced the banks, like how the banks just went it on and did the government's bidding and freeze tons of bank accounts just because they had the audacity to take part of participate in the freedom convoy protest against Trudeau. So the bank did Justin Trudeau's bidding to freeze his political enemies' bank accounts, which is totally ridiculous. That is disgraceful. And of course, so far Scotiabank is the only one to come out and apologize for freezing people's bank account. But of course, there must be an accountability must occur there. Simple as that. So, of course, very important also to have a very kind of independence. Like financial institutions should have independence from the government. Simple as that. Like the government should not have any control to financial institutions. It's just like separation of church and state. Can't just like put the state and the church all together. No, that will be totally dangerous. Like that will set out a very dangerous precedence. Yes, it will set a huge amount of dangerous precedents. Precedents of danger. And also that's also the case with the state and the media. Because if the media is on on the government's payroll, guess what? No accountability at all. They just spew the government's talking points, and of course, that is also not good. So you can just see with the Canadian mainstream media how they are on Justin Trudeau's payroll. They receive paycheck from the government. Simple as that. Like they receive millions and millions of dollars of bailout from Trudeau. So that's why there's independent journalists out there, like who are really out there, like telling the truth of the story, holding these people accountable, asking hard-hitting questions, real hard-hitting questions, because that is the very important thing to have. There must be an independence between, like there must be a separation between church, the state, media, and of course, I would include the financial institutions. Simple as that. The government should not be dictating anyone. They should not be dictating financial institutions to, oh, freeze my political enemies' bank accounts because they have the audacity to go into the Wellington Street in front of the Parliament Hill and protest and honk their horns. That is not allowed. But of course, Tuesday the topic misinformation, disinformation, and the role of social media. So this is very important. Misinformation and disinformation, because obviously that the mainstream media were the very ones who spewing misinformation and disinformation about the freedom convoy, the freedom protest, and supposedly the so-called virus, the so-called vaccines, because like obviously that they're spewing big pharma stalking rhetoric and just into the stalking rhetoric. That is not good. So yeah, you can just see that the mainstream media says, oh, but in fact, they're the ones who spewing, like spreading misinformation and disinformation. You just see it, they're telling you. So the second on Tuesday was the protection of flows of essential goods and services, critical infrastructures, and trade corridors. So here's the thing here is that yes, basically that yep, when it comes to the economy, like remember that 2 years ago, the eco-terrorist block railway, the CN railway, which prevented CN from delivering essential goods across the country, which had a significant impact at the economy. But of course, Justin Trudeau didn't give a shit about it. Like, he didn't care about it. And the other part is that Trudeau didn't invoke the Emergency Act. Like, it's a set of double standard because obviously he was like, oh, negotiate with this eco-terrorist, blah, 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 let's come to the table. But when it's come to the truckers, no, 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 straight ahead with the Emergency Act. See that? Like, you can just already see the type of double standard being played here. So, of course, like, you can just see that there's a whole set amount of hypocrisy here coming from this guy. Talk about Justin Trudeau. Make Justin Trudeau a drama teacher again. What a nice slogan, if you will. So, Wednesday, first topic, national security and public order emergencies. Alright, this is important. National security and public order emergencies. So, what exactly the threshold for the Emergency Act to be invoked? So, how about let's go and look it up again. So, let's go on and bring that up. Like, what is the exact things that are what is the exact threshold for the Emergency Act to be invoked like, under the CCS Act? Like, what is exactly the things that says under the Section 2 of the CCS Act? So let's go on here. Alright. So, threats to the security of Canada means espionage or sabotage that is against Canada or is detrimental to the interests of Canada or activities directed toward or in support of such espionage or sabotage. Foreign influence activities within or relating to Canada that are detrimental to the interests of Canada and are clandestine or deceptive or involve a threat to any person. Activities within or relating to Canada directed toward or in support of the threat or use of acts of serious violence against persons or property for the purpose of achieving a political, religious, or ideological objective within Canada or a foreign state. And activities directed toward undermining by covert unlawful acts or directed toward or intended ultimately to lead to the destruction or overthrow by violence of the constitutionally established system of government in Canada, but does not include advocacy, protest, or dissent unless carried on in conjunction with any of the activities referred to in paragraph A to D. Got that? So that's what it says in the section 2 of the CCS Act. Like that's the term. That's the threshold that needs to be invoked. Like the threshold. So you can just see from there. And of course it didn't include economy, the economic reason. No, 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 no. Got that. So you can just like go on and see from there. Uh, Basically, Trudeau just went straight ahead, like for the smash, unbelievable. So now I'm just gonna go on here and also like show you the other things is that what the other person is being like, what other things says in the Diseases Act. Because like that is very important as I'm here in the studio debunking lies. So now, once again, we're just gonna go on here and see here. So what the what are and what else the threshold? What else is as kind of the things that needs to be met for the EA to be involved? What else? So we're gonna go and find that out. What else does it say? Okay, let's see here. But just wait a minute here. So yeah, basically you can just like see from there that oh yes, boys, that is typically not so good, eh? So well, we're just gonna go like obviously the fact yes. Oh yes. Very obvious that yep, you can just like see from there that you know the fact of Trudeau being parasite is been kind of a laughing stock actually on stage, and he doesn't want that. He's not liking it at all. They can't afford that. They can't afford the truck, afford it because they, you know, see the protesters was pretty much destroying the narrative out there. So now you just say also that Trudeau's like, let's hit the button, and of course he was in full panic mode. Can't have it. Oh no. That is a big new. Yep, big new. That's why Trudeau went and they invoked the EA. Uh-huh. So, this is what the assessment of diseases. Yep, you can just see from there. Yep. Caesar's assessment determined that the convoy related protests did not constitute a threat to national security. Hmm. I see, I see. But of course, obviously, when you just wanted on an advice to not involve it any ways. Ah, so I'm about to show you the doc here. Mm-hmm. Bad boy Cho. Mm-hmm. Oh boy. So, ooh, wow, why see? Oh boy. So, you know what here, my friends, is that, yep, bad boy Trudeau. What a goofball. So, well, just take a look at this also. Then. Oh boy. Trudeau. So, of course, you can just see here. Also, some individuals holding accelerationist or anti-government views would view any announcement relating to the invocation of Emergency Act as confirmation of their core belief will increase the volume of their extreme online. Then, then of course, boom! They just went for the smash. So, of course, we're just gonna continue on here. Let's get back to this document. Forcing of public protest. So, obviously, this is very kind of an important thing to take in your mind when going on, when protesting, of what you can do and can't do. So, first of all, you can go and loot stores. Like, nope. And of course, can throw Molotov cocktail. Can't have that. No, 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 no. Here's not peaceful protest. That is criminal activities for sure. And of course, the things that you could do is, yep, going out to the street with your signs, with speakers. That's part of peaceful protest. Simple as that. So, police, government, This is important also because police government relations. So here's the thing here. The fact that Trudeau just ignored Boden's recommendation and invoked the Emergency Act just surely undermines the relationship between the police government police government relations, the relationship between the government and the police. Interjurisdictional, yep, interjurisdictional response to protests and emergencies. So here's the thing here. It is also important for the government to, especially for the federal government, to just think like to understand that when it is a they can't just go and interfere with any provincial policing. Nope. Because like once come to the provincial polices, that is under the jurisdiction of the provincial government. And also that's once come to the municipal, that's also the under jurisdiction of municipal. Simple as that. Like, interjurisdictional. So obviously that when you try to go on and boom, ignore, just intervene with things here that are that just no, no, no. And then yeah, thresholds, powers, and accountability under the Emergency Act. So here's the very thing here when it comes to that. So the threshold must met, and of course I just showed you the threshold that the things that needs to be met for the EA to be involved. But of course none of it met that threshold. Simple as that. So now we're just gonna go on here because like last week Brendan Miller did a scrum, a second scrum when that was 294, yes. So Brendan Miller did a scrum, and of course because the things that he tried to do here, but Rolo just decided to put it.
Well, you thought too. See there, I'm not crazy. So apparently, no, I didn't. Boy, I did just get certification, right? And so, right? So that's a letter somebody gets, and it's a libel of Slanders Act. Province wants a note or a libel and slander, but because it applies to media, you don't serve a libel and slander on issues in our media. So I to him. because I don't usually talk to you. But I wrote Blake's letter, and I said, if he's here, as proceeding the complaint, let's get some disclosure. Let's settle this up. I know he has come on TV himself, he's sending out letters, and I don't believe anything himself. So I still would love him to testify if I can get permission to agree that he does.
You mean Brian Fox?
Yeah.
Not Greg McCaffrey.
No.
Greg,
I don't think Greg.
Isn't this getting ridiculous? So
No,
unequivocally does it. They're suing you. They're chasing down Don. Isn't this getting absurd?
Who do you work?
Isn't that a fair?
Well-
Evidence to support these claims.
Well, there's a file affidavit of the guy identifying him. Then so much
Identify them
of it-
based on.
No, we actually filed a statement. You guys just read the left. It's no offense to you guys, but I find that I've only been here for what, like a month? Yeah. The Automobile Bureau, it's not. I'm very pro. Yeah. You guys are very different than folks that don't like. I think you're just overly in bed with the current ruling gov, so you get access to things, and you're afraid to
Tell us
actually-
now. Convince us that Brian Fox had a Nazi.
Okay. 420. Right, and it's in the affidavits. If you guys think, you know how you're not giving you records, you keep asking me for records. Okay, so I tell you to take them from the file. All right. They won't. So you. Yeah. So what you have to do in order to do your jobs right, you have to apply.
But okay,
Because you're not getting
the question. Tell us,
So there's
tell us
an
how
affidavit.
you keep saying Brian Fox.
Yeah, Brian
Tell us why you keep saying
Brian
Done here. Let me just go on here and get things to the record.
I saw in the that were presented in the Michael from him. I did just sort of defamation notice of the guy that came here. Okay. Right, and so.
And can you talk to us about that?
Yeah, sure. So a defamation notice, right? So that's just a letter somebody gets, and it's a
How much are they saying that?
Nothing. It's a defamation notice. So what do? You have a Libel and Slanders Act here in the province of Ontario, and you serve a notice, all right, of libel and slander. But people usually do it as sort of an intimidation tactic because it typically only applies to media. You don't actually serve a libel and slander notice on individuals that aren't media. So I got served a libel and slanders notice.
You mean
It doesn't.
It can't. It's
It
usually
doesn't.
not
It
for just
doesn't mean.
anybody.
It doesn't mean anything. So
Isn't it? Isn't
no,
it a
I
threat
can't. No,
to
because
see?
I wrote. It was so funny because I didn't want to talk to him because you don't usually talk to people who have lawyers. So he has Blake's. But I wrote Blake's lawyer, and I said, if he's here, you guys are proceeding with the claim. Let's get some disclosure going. Let's settle this up. And I know he had to come on V himself, and he just keeps sending out letters, and I don't believe he said anything himself. So I still would love him to testify if I can get the commission to agree that he does.
You mean Brian Fox?
Yeah.
Not Greg McCarthy.
No, not Greg McCarthy. Well, Greg, I don't think Greg likes me.
Isn't this getting ridiculous? So Brian Fox unequivocally denies it. They're suing you now for it and threatening to do it. You're chasing down the wrong guy outside the inquiry. Isn't this getting absurd?
Who do you work for? Oh, man.
I'm just asking. Isn't that a fair question? It's getting to where you have no evidence to support these claims.
Well, there's a filed affidavit of a guy identifying him. Then a whole bunch of people.
Based on
What
your
evidence you?
No, not at all. We actually filed a statement. You guys just haven't obviously read the full affidavit because what I've been doing, and no offense to you guys, but I find that I've only been here for what, like a month? Yeah. The Ottawa Bureau, it's not, I'm actually very pro normal media, completely. But you guys are very different than the folks that we have back home. Like, for example, I think you're just overly in bed with the current ruling gov so that you can get access to things. You're afraid to
Tell us now, walk us through, convince us that Brian Fox had a Nazi flag.
Okay, so first off, we filed a statement, okay, on October 24th, before we knew who Brian Fox. Our witness, and it's in the affidavits, if you guys, like, you know how they're not giving you records? Like, you keep asking me for records? Okay, so I tell you to take them from the commission, and the things I file, all right, they won't make public. They won't. So you
mean
have
like your affidavits and stuff?
Yeah, so what you have to do in order to do your jobs right is you have to apply.
But okay.
Because you're not getting the truth.
But the question, what? Tell
So there's
us
an
how
affidavit. Okay, so
you keep
listen.
naming Brian Fox.
Yeah, Brian
Tell
Fox.
us why you keep naming
Brian Fox.
Tell us
And
why.
How did
so,
you do Brian Fox? How did his
Explain, like, I know
did
the
data
documents.
analysis.
Explain
We
to
did
us the
analytics, but
allegation.
I'll tell you this. So we have an affidavit. It's the affidavit is new, but the statement's not. So what the commission directed us to do, it's just subpoenas, was to provide the commission back in October all relevant material statements. Okay? And so you probably saw if you read the decision, Mr. Sean Folks, right? Sean Folks was the applicant. Sean Folks provided the commission in October, all right, before we even knew about Mr. Fox. And it outlined having met the guy with the Nazi
He
flag.
didn't say in that statement it was Brian Fox, or it was Brian.
No, great, because
He didn't say Brian Fox until you said Brian Fox. So why did you say Brian Fox?
So I'm saying Brian Fox because what happened, because I was putting it under the stand for other reasons, because we have other information you don't know, and the thing is, you don't have to put everything forward when you make an application to compel someone to testify. You only have to put forward.
Why did you
reasonable
say
grounds.
Brian Fox?
Because I have reasonable grounds, let's say.
So what are they?
Let's get Brian Fox here.
Okay, what
So
are
let's
you going to accuse him? You're getting
Well,
now
I
you're
have an
libel notice.
I have
You're
an
chasing down
affidavit.
someone
I have-
else who's the wrong person.
Yeah, because Tom Marazzo. But I have an affidavit that my witness, okay, so just let me finish. We give a statement, okay, to the commission. That's in October, before we even know about Brian Fox. The witness had met the gentleman, okay, with the Nazi flag. Met him, talked to him, right? But of course, nobody knows who the Nazi flag guy was. And interesting, in all the disclosure, all my clients are mentioned, right? But they're not terrorists. But people carrying these flags, right, and actually Nazi symbols.
Can you answer the question?
Yeah, no. So, but every single one of these individuals is not investigated. No one. Nobody knows who they are. And when I asked CSIS, right, he knows, I think. Personally, I think he knows. But so he gets a statement, he met with them. When I asked those questions, I'm like, I actually thought we didn't touch it because they didn't allow that in. They didn't want to hear from this witness who identified the guy with the Nazi flag. That was kind of weird, but I didn't know about really what happened until after we did some data analytics and things like that and tracing, because a lot of it was tracing. I don't know if any of you are familiar with fraud work, but when I mentioned his name in there, the client or the guy with the statement, he went on his own accord. I didn't talk to him, and he started looking up Brian Fox, and he went, "Holy shit, that's the guy!"
Yeah, but
pardon me.
Isn't there a
So,
suggestion? You just
right.
saw a large guy with a beard and thought it was Brian Fox.
That's not me. That's Tom Marozzi. Yeah. But here's the best thing. Yeah, I'm joking. But here's a real simple thing. Here's a real. But guess
You
what?
don't know. You don't know, do you?
So if we don't know, what's the easiest thing to do? Put him on the stand.
You could put anybody on the stand with a beard then.
No, because we also did the data analytics, and we have. I'll tell you about the stuff that's public, that's not to the police, because this has gotten to the point where we actually have to hand over our files for potential criminal investigations. So, what the thing is this: like you can trace money, you can trace photos. I can get a guy to trace all of that. So, you know how when you put money into
Like
a bank,
reverse Google image search?
no.
What are you talking about?
You know how you put money into a bank account, right? It goes digital, right? And then you can see it bounce.
Yes.
So anytime an image moves, it's timed. You can see when it was first went to the internet. And that's how I tracked all these people down. It's just like money in, money out. And then we started looking at this more and had some other people involved who I cannot disclose. And we figured out it was Brian Fox. And then after people hear Brian Fox on the news, Twitter lights up.
Well,
And
you're
there's more-
basically accusing somebody
But then
of carrying a Nazi flag.
they produced the pictures of Brian Fox from the day. It's crazy. But I know none of you are going to report on it because he's a real popular guy with you guys, and you do a lot of work with him.
We have no idea. The only reason we know his name is because of you, and you still can't explain why.
I just told you, and you're really angry. And
I'm not angry.
I'm just clear this whole thing
I'm
up.
trying to understand what you're saying.
And it's really interesting. I know all of this, and when I came here, that whole Flaggate thing, I was like, you guys are crazy. That's like the whole thing about false flag. Like, as a lawyer, most of the time, right? A joke is your client is your enemy. Okay, so just because a client says something to me is true, I don't usually believe it. That sounded kind of nutty. But then there were some things that came up I cannot disclose that are in the record production there, and we started connecting the dots using forensic stuff, and that's how we discovered.
Can you show us the forensic stuff? You're saying,
The-
give us
the-
the.
well, yeah, it's actually
What
right.
aid is that?
Well, you have it. You just have to ask the judge.
Why don't you give it to us?
Because
You're the
I
one
can't
making the
give it to you.
application. Why
They're,
not?
they're saying that I can't give you anything that I filed. Okay.
Well, you
That's
have-
remember when you no, I didn't file that. So remember when you wrote me, right? And then I emailed you back, cease commission, and said,
Trying to get that
hey Alex, yeah, you need to ask them, and if they deny, and I talked to a couple of you, so that you guys can do your job, because part of the problem here is that none of you are reporting on the facts of the things I said today, right? So the things I said today is we have a lack of disclosure, we have all these issues, and then they're not releasing any of the evidence that is against the government or really letting it in. So the problem is that, media, in my view, especially back home, they also hold the government to account. It's not just lawyers, right? And so if you folks would get your lawyers in here, and back home, at least where I'm from, we have lawyers at the courthouse all the time applying to get production, right? Where a tribunal doesn't allow you to have something like you have. So like I offered the tribunal and they didn't reply. My friend Megan Grant back home with CDC, she was the one who got the lawyers to get the warrants in the Coots case, which say that the whole thing was taken care of, right? Because the RCMP were already all over it, right? Local RCMP, Alberta contracted RCMP. So if you guys would actually, no offense, get off your asses and get in there and get some things done. We could actually cover this properly. And if everyone would just stop taking political pandering sides and actually think about, normal governance and wanting to see government transparent, wanting to see government accountable, and you do what journalism is.
care about that?
No, honestly, I do back home. I do.
Have you read the coverage? Have you been?
Yeah, it's not. There's things that are missing. It's not, and I'm not looking at it from, because when you're doing a case, you look at a case from your point of view or from your theory of the case. But if this was back home, there would be more.
You mean
Yeah, back home. So because there's no, but back there, right? There's no sort of political connections where reporters are friendly
Who has
with.
political connections? What are you talking about?
Which do you want me to list the reporters? But using them for the fact, and I know you're smiling, you're laughing, you're like, yeah, because I know. And one of the things that I have, because we have some dudes that do it, it's the data analytics on Twitter. So you can actually figure out now which journalists are, posting when, and you might see if you go and get my trade government route.
So there you have it there, my friends. But of course, I'm just gonna wrap this up. So ending monologue, here we go. Alrighty. So of course here, my friends, is that yes, basically you could just go on and see that yes, now that the Public Emergency Commission totally wrapped up the whole 7 week session. Now that, well, basically we're gonna see how that will turn out. Also, we're gonna go on and see whether Justice Rollo will say that it wasn't justified because it wasn't in the Section 2 of the Diseases Act. And of course, final conclusion, I would once again time for accountability. Simple as that. So, of course, that's it for the show here today. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in to the show. Of course, keep up the good work here. And of course, I want to thank you for sticking with me every episode of the show. And of course, once again, keep up the good fight. Keep up the good fight here. Keep fighting for what's right. And of course, don't drink the politics. Don't stay sane. Have a great night. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Enjoy. Have a nice weekend. And of course, until then, here, my friends, don't forget, keep fun every